Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I am your host, Tiffany Daniels, and very obviously, with it being Saturday, happy Saturday, everyone, we are now doing our next episode of Down the Rabbit Hole, where we're going to be continuing on with that Jenny McCarthy interview that was done back in circa 2009, 2008. Before we get started, briefly, disclaimer, if you are unfamiliar with the anti-vax movement, in particular the re-emergence of it coming into the mid-1990s into the 2010s, all the links and sources we go throughout this series can be found right there in the description box. So should you like to do a deep dive on your subject or just to double check your own facts, you're definitely welcome to do so. Trigger warning, this channel is marked not for kids for a reason. I do use profanity, and some of the topics we cover on this channel can be particularly triggering. So if you got a child that is 16 and younger and they are watching this, parental supervision is advised. Political trigger warning. My political allegiance belongs to my fellow disabled folk, not to any particular politician from any side. Mainly because disability policy is what most directly impacts my life and the life of my fellows. So what that means is at some point throughout this series, you're probably going to hear things that offend you, especially my special disliking of RFK Jr. If that is not something that you can handle in a civil manner, and you make any comments that are just attacks or insults, or if you pop up any misinformation, and I will know, I am obsessed with researching things, I will find out, your comment will be removed and you will be blocked from the channel. Nobody has time for that. Nobody. Alright? Okay, so let's get back to where we left off on last Saturday. So, this one says, most people who blame autism on vaccines point to the mercury in the shots. Yet mercury has been removed from most vaccines and autism rates continue to climb. Now, I'm going to make a point, but before I do, I'm going to read this. We don't believe it's only the mercury. Aluminum and other toxins also play a role. The viruses in the vaccines themselves can be causing it too. Jesus motherfucking Christ. Jenny. No. Okay? No. That being said, we're gonna pull this up now. You can tell I am so pissed at her level of misinformation and just literally being that clueless. Like, I'll be nice. I said I'd be nice. I'm gonna try to be nice. Alright, let's find out, shall we? Alright, the mercury-based preservative thimerosal was removed from or reduced to trace amounts in almost all U.S. vaccines for children aged 6 years and under by 2001. So, what that means, Miss Jenny, is even after you remove the preservative, the autism numbers still climb. You know what that means? That means it points more to my theory, a case of genetics an environment, which is what literally experts have been saying for decades. Literal decades. Okay? Let's see if we can get some numbers, because I'm just so irritated with it all, I can hardly see straight. Yeah, let me see here. We're going to try and find out. So thimerosal is no longer being used in vaccines. We know that from back all the way in 2001. Even though you literally get more mercury eating a can of tuna than you do from a vaccine. Literally everyone knows that. Here we go. Q&A. Is aluminum in vaccines? Aluminum is present in vaccines that prevent hepatitis A, hepatitis B, diphtheria, tetanus, and pertussis, human papillomavirus, or HPV, Japanese encephalitis, JE, anthrax, meningococcal B, tick-tone, encephalitis. Okay, aluminum is not present in live weakened viral vaccines like those that are from the MMR. Aluminum is also not present in the following: the flu shots, the meningococcal, ACWY, cholera, dengue, Ebola, rabies, pneumococcal, typhoid, shingles, and polio vaccines. Okay, so during the first 6 months of life, infants can receive about 4 milligrams of aluminum from vaccines. That's not very much. A milligram is 1/1000th of a gram, and a gram is the weight of 1/5 of a teaspoon of water. Babies will also receive about 10 milligrams of aluminum in breast milk, about 40 milligrams in infant formula, and 120 milligrams in soy-based formula. Now, aluminum enters the body pretty quickly and exits quickly. Though all the aluminum present in vaccines enters the bloodstream, less than 1%, hear that, 1% of aluminum present in the food is absorbed through the intestines into the blood. However, once the aluminum is in the bloodstream, it is processed similarly regardless of source. Approximately 90% is processed by binding to a protein called transferrin. About 10% is bound by citrate. Once bound, the majority of aluminum will be eliminated through the kidneys. A small amount through bile, and a small amount will be retained in the tissues of the body. That's probably what has her freaked out. But remember, you're still getting more of that eating out of cans than you're actually getting from the vaccine itself. About half of the aluminum in the bloodstream is eliminated in less than 24 hours, and more than 3/4 is eliminated within 2 weeks. The ability of the body to rapidly eliminate aluminum accounts for its excellent record of safety. Hence why they use it and act as an extra preservative. Now it's going to ask if that amount in the vaccines is safe. Can't deal with this stupid. These people can be divided in 2 groups: severely premature infants who receive large quantities of aluminum in intravenous fluids, and people with long-standing kidney failure who receive large quantities of aluminum, primarily in antacids. The average recommended dose of antacids contains about 1,000 times more aluminum than is found in a vaccine. I can vouch for that because I have to take them. I have acid reflux and have had it since middle school, which is highly unusual. Both of these groups of patients can suffer brain dysfunction, bone abnormalities, or anemia because of the high quantities of aluminum that have accumulated in their bodies. For aluminum to be harmful, two criteria must be met. People must have kidneys that don't work well or don't work at all, and they must receive large quantities of aluminum for months or years. In these situations, a lot of aluminum enters the body and not enough leaves the body. Essentially, you have to stuff yourself to the gills with that particular metal in order for it to have any kind of real adverse effect upon you. Right? So, Jenny, to answer your question, do I believe environmental factors play a part? Well, I am of the opinion, and this is not an official opinion, I am not an expert in these matters, but I believe that it is a mixture of genetics and environment. And one of the main reasons is because of the fluctuations between each individual who has this diagnosis, because it affects each of us so profoundly in different ways from one another, that I make that particular assessment. Why some people seem a little bit more towards the more older ideas of what autism are, why some of us end up like me, but some of us are kind of somewhere in there in the middle. Yeah, just saying. But the virus and the vaccines too could be causing it. Viruses do not cause autism. This is not HIV. That's not to insult anyone who has HIV. It's to make the point that these things are not the same type of animals. You don't contract autism. It's not a viral disease. It is a developmental disorder. It starts in the brain. Okay? But the other viruses that you put into those vaccines, so far I've never seen a single paper of research that has ever tried to convince me that somehow the measles were connected to autism. Any of you ever read that? I haven't. Nor smallpox, nor rubella, nor whooping cough. Come on now, Jen. Alright, we're going to read the next one. Just because the level of stupid is so special, I'm probably going to have to make this a multi-parter. This one says, your collaborator recommends that parents only accept the Haemophilus influenzae type B HIV and tetanus vaccine for newborns and then think about the rest. Not polio? What about the polio clusters in unvaccinated communities like the Amish in the United States? What about the 2004 outbreak that swept across Africa and South Asia after a single province in northern Nigeria banned vaccines? Are you finally going to start hitting her where it hurts, or are you just going to, accept her softball answer and not push? She said, I do believe, sadly, it's going to take some diseases coming back to realize that we need to change and develop vaccines that are safe. How many lives are you willing to forfeit, Jenny, for you to get the world the way you want it? How many children have to die so that Jenny McCarthy will be satisfied? How many lives have to be lost to have this autism-free utopia she envisions? Woman, do you not know how unhinged you sound? Do you have any idea what some of those child vaccines are used for to protect your child? Do you know what they used to do to civilization? Smallpox has wiped out whole-ass civilizations. That's not coming from me. Pick up a history book. Pick up any history book. Measles. Measles is just okay and all of that. You can thank modern medicine for that, sweetheart, because back around when that vaccine was developed, there was nothing, and children died from measles complications because they didn't have the type of medicine that could bring down the fevers and help deal with the recovery. Okay? What you're saying here is that you should want your child possibly dead rather than to get them autistic. And I'm going to tell you, Miss McCarthy, that is what every single autistic person who is listening and hearing those words come out of your mouth thinks. That you would rather your child be dead. You would rather we all be dead than for you, Miss Privileged Jenny McCarthy, to have a child who is autistic. That should have stopped the whole ass interview. What do you mean we have to be willing to let some diseases come back? Who are you willing to sacrifice, Jenny? You see, the elites don't care about us, folks. They are completely willing for a lot of us so-called peasants to lose our lives to horrific diseases just so that they won't be inconvenienced. Yeah. Let me continue here. All the disgusting things you could possibly say. If the vaccine companies are not listening to us, it's their effing fault that the diseases are coming back. Excuse you, ma'am. You are telling these parents to stop getting vaccines for their kids. If they contract a virus and die unprotected, that's not on the doctors who told those parents to make sure that those kids got inoculated. It's your fault, Jenny. You bear that responsibility because you are one of the major people on planet Earth that was one of the biggest pushers for this anti-vax complete, utter nonsense. How many diseases have to come back and take lives for you to be satisfied, Jenny? How many children are you willing to sacrifice to get your imagined utopia? Because I'm not willing to lose a single one of them, especially not over something this stupid when it's so goddamn easily prevented. You hate us autistics so much that you are willing to condemn the rest of the world because of it. If that's not psycho, I don't know what is. Let me finish this paragraph, folks. I'm sorry. They're making a product that's... Jenny, have you ever made a vaccine? Have you ever gone to medical school? Have you ever had any kind of medical training? Have you ever even so much as had a job as a medical assistant? Or worked anywhere, at any point in time, throughout the entirety of your life within the service system? No? None of that? Your opinions about the quality of vaccines mean absolutely jack shit. You know nothing about the development of vaccines. You know nothing about the science behind them. You have no idea that the reason why there's so many shots when you're a baby is because when you are a baby, that is when you are most vulnerable to virus and illness. There's a reason why the child mortality rate used to be so high. Okay? We have had it so well for so long as a society, I think, that we have really forgotten how bad we have had it in the past and just how quick it can go back to that because people are willing to listen to idiots like Jenny McCarthy instead of their own conscience and what they know to be true. They want the boogeyman. They don't care what it costs me or you. They want a boogeyman, and they'll throw anyone under the bus to make sure that they have one. Screaming at a straw man like an old man shaking a fist at a cloud. If you give us a safe vaccine, we'll use it. It shouldn't be polio versus autism. No, it shouldn't, Ginny. But you made it that way. Because of your insistence that this has to be involved in what causes my diagnosis, when it's been repeatedly proven that it does not. And yet you continue year after year, decade after decade. How many kids have to suffer and die before Ginny McCarthy is satisfied? Sorry, not sorry. This is not a cute subject. This is things that put lives on the line. We're gonna go ahead and close on that one, folks. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few we do get tend to get removed from time to time, so don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, don't forget to hit the comments, and make sure you're still set up for notifications. We're going to be coming back tomorrow, of course, with the new episode of the Snake Oil Salesman series. We don't want you missing anything. I do appreciate your time, and as always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea absolutely do hope you have a good one. We will see you all next time. Bye-bye, everyone.